Hey everyone, my name's Lee and I am in Italy, Dolomites, Italy, or what do you call it? I'm at Sasita. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. So basically this video is going to be about my review of the Nikon ZF. And you know what, I bought that camera at a perfect time, brought it with me ever to Italy. I'm really excited to talk about like my experience using it and how fun it is to use it. And yeah, I don't know, it's super lightweight. And you know, I brought the 26mm pancake lens and the 40mm 2.0, and you know, they're really great lens and not too expensive either. And like the 26 is great to cover like the wide coverage, and the 40 is a perfect between the 35mm for me. I usually shoot 35, but a 40 is perfect. And if I want to go any wider, I just switch over to the 26. And 26 is perfect for indoors and outdoors, but even more close up, the 40 is great too for everything else. But yeah, it's pretty nice here. It's pretty embarrassing too that I'm filming outside for the first time ever with people just walking about. But yeah, let's get to it. Hey, brief intro. Saying that I was going to talk about my review, or I hate calling it a review, but my experience using the Nikon ZF. So I sold all my X-mount gear and lens because I wanted to move on and try something different from Fujifilm cameras. And for most of my photography career, I essentially just stuck with Fujifilm for the longest time, starting with the X-T4, then moved on to the X-T5 and the X-H2. Sure, I really miss the light compactness of my X-T4 and X-T5, and I especially miss my X-H2 because of the fact that that was the camera that I started YouTube with. And from a sentimental value, I do miss it. Aside from that, I also miss the lighter and compact lens and the crop factor that comes with a APS-C sensor. On top of that, I do miss the Fujifilm's color science and their film simulation that makes my photography so much more enjoyable and fun, because I wouldn't need to worry about editing all those travel and street photographies that would take me hours to do. But with the ease of use of like Fuji's film simulation and the fact that you can tinker the recipes in settings, just like the JPEGs straight out of camera, it's really good. So good to the point where I just forget about editing it any further because it's that good. Aside from that, I needed a camera that does have like a decent amount of dynamic range, decent ergonomics. I wanted like a retro-like design, and the fun factor that the X-T4, X-T5 was able to fulfill that for me. But with that being said, I discovered the Nikon ZF. Call it Nikon. I like calling it Nikon. Well, the Nikon ZF was able to fulfill all my needs, and even more so than that, which is great to me. I will say that it's a little strange that I never once believed that Nikon was a failing camera brand that sells, potato mirrorless cameras, or just potato camera, from what I'm sure you've all heard the joke or so. I think people like to meme on things for fun, which is great, right? For great laughs. But I strongly believe that there are people out there that strongly believe that whoever has a Nikon brand or system as their main like kit, they would harshly judge you for that, and they would just judge you on your skill because you're using a potato camera or whatever. But you know me, I'm a firm believer that if you're a good photographer overall, you can make anything really good with any camera. Let's talk about the design of the ZF. The design is beautiful. It's made of a combination of magnesium alloy and polycarbonated materials. Sorry, I think I butchered that word. Build quality is amazing. It's probably one of the better build cameras in my kit currently. And comparing, it's kind of hard not to compare like the overall look and feel of the ZF to the X-T4, X-T5. I can definitely say that the X-T4 and X-T5 are a little bit more on the cheaper side in terms of term quality versus the ZF. The ZF is like, it feels good on the hand. It's like, it's a little weighty, it's a little heavier than X-T5 and X-T4, but with that weight though, it really shows that like Nikon really did put a lot of effort in the build quality of the ZF. And I'm like generally really happy with how this feels and the weight of it. I will say the one nitpick that I have of the ZF is that the grip is almost non-existent. It's pretty small, so I definitely recommend getting like some sort of like L mount grip from like Small Rig, for example, or something from Nikon or some other third-party brands that will give you that extra like surface area to hold your camera here. I'm in love with the ISO and shutter speed dial. Is very reminiscent of Nikon's I think FM2 35mm film camera, and it feels great using it. It feels more tactile compared to what the X-T4, X-T5 can provide, and I just overall like it's like something that this is the Fujifilm camera that Fujifilm can't give us. The retro dials for the shutter speed and the ISO. There's also a neat like mini display to display your like f-stop. I don't know, you can see that right in the camera page catch down. Yeah, see that mini display? That's really cool, honestly. And also another cool feature that came with the ZF is that there's like a toggle between photo and video mode, which is a nice addition. And on top of that, there's also a black and white mode for photos, and that black and white basically lets you take photos black and white, but that will only apply to the JPEG, but also will apply on the RAW version too if you choose to, but it'll revert back to like the color. Apparently in the interwebs, like a lot of people are saying that the black and white toggle, it's more of a gimmick, but I don't believe so, because I actually do end up using the black and white mode a lot more than I expected to do so, because of the fact that with shooting shooting photos in black and white, you have a better visual understanding of how like the blacks and the whites, it highlights the whites and the shadows work in your photo. And sometimes for me it does help me, especially when you're not in the best lighting situation, where black and white will show you like what exactly where like the natural light shoot where it is, and how the blacks and shadows will look like on the subject or environment. And that does really help me have a better setting of what the light looks like overall. And I think that's kind of like a visual helper. This video is more about my experience using the Nikon ZF and how much I enjoyed using on my daily commutes and travels. So I won't go too deep into like the specs and whatnot, but I will mention that it's using the same sensor as the Z6 Mark II, but is using the X-Speed 7 image processor that comes from like the Z8 and Z9. So this is my first experience using and owning a Nikon system, more specifically the Z-mount cameras, and I was just really blown away about the number of lens support comes with their system. Like for example, like the fact that we can, as this is my first experience using and owning a Nikon system, I'm pleasantly surprised that there's so much like lens support for the system. like more specifically support for the Z mount. Is that you can buy like adapter where you can use like the older Nikon lenses, like the F mount lenses, and that's brilliant, honestly. Like you're providing more support and longevity for older lenses, and with that, and they also have really good third-party support, like the Voigtländer lens, which I kind of dig the Voigtländer lens because I do own the 40mm f1.2, and that's been a really fun lens to use for my street photography and other things to do with it. With me purchasing my Nikon ZF, I also bought the Nikon 26mm f2.8, the 40mm f2, and the Voigtländer 40mm f1.2 that I mentioned earlier. I love the 26mm for my landscape and architecture photos, and for the 40mm, it's a great general all-purpose lens. And there's also the 40mm f1.2 if I want that extra character and extra light photos. And like those three lenses are like they're always in my sling bag because they're so versatile, and the fact that they're super light and small. Like the 26 and 40mm native lens that I just mentioned, they're weather sealed too, which is great, and like the kit lens price, but it punches like way above its weight. And I think that you're not looking to spend, thousands of dollars for like their S-line lens that has the best coating and whatnot on it, then I think you'll be more than happy with the 26mm and the 40mm prime lenses that are on the cheaper side, but it does still produce lots of good quality images. Their menu system was one of the more difficult UIs that it took me a while to understand and navigate, because there's just a lot of settings that's buried under menus and submenus, and that's something that it took me a while to get used to. And I'm like coming from like Fujifilm's like menu system and Panasonic's Lumix menu system, and I find that out of three so far, Nikon was like a little hard for me to navigate, but I eventually got it. One nitpick on the whole body design of the ZF is that it's lacking the joystick, the mini joystick that you usually see on like the top right of the LCD screen. Fujifilm has it, Canon has it, Panasonic Lumix has it. Don't understand why that the ZF doesn't have it. It makes it really hard for me to navigate through my photos and menus not having a joystick. So I have to use a D-pad essentially to be able to navigate, and sometimes the D-pad isn't as responsive as I would want it to be. I don't understand why Nikon gave us a flip out screen. To me, that does not make any sense. If you're selling this, right, design everything as a photocentric camera with some video features, right, you would think that they would give us an articulate screen. The Z8 has that, and the Z9 has articulate screen. I believe the Z6 Mark II has that too. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's kind of like a weird choice there. I wish they could have just gave us that instead of a flip out screen, because I think that would be a much better use, because it's more of a photocentric camera than a video camera. I've shot photos and video with the ZF using the 26mm and the 40mm f2 from like outside nature into indoors architecture, like the galleries, museums, and then Coliseum, for example. From the video side of things, it's good enough, honestly. Like you don't need like a super premium video camera to capture like really nice B-roll images, or sorry, B-roll videos, or just videos itself. Recording analog is fine. Like I was able to cover quite a bit of the highlights and shadows in my videos. But I will say though, like I do have my Panasonic Lumix S5IIX. That's my main camera for all my video purposes. Comparing the two, like the Panasonic does have V-Log, has much more flexibility than the analog, and the quality is much more sharper and better, and the Panasonic can recover so much more of the highlights and shadows, right? But you don't need like a video camera to be able to capture anything, right? You can capture things on your phone and whatnot, but the ZF does more than enough for like your video needs, because at least it does for me, right? I don't need to shoot like a whole film or a short story. I'm just there to film what I see, and that's it. And a little bit of color grading. Shooting photos with my ZF, it was good, it was fine, it was fun. I too miss the ability to use Fujifilm's film simulation to pick my recipes and tinker with them, and just, not worry about editing the photos right after. That's something that I really miss. And I do know that Nikon has their own like color profile, but it isn't the same as Fujifilm's film simulation. The only thing that's comparable in the market right now to Fujifilm's film simulation, it would be Panasonic's real-time LUTs. And with Panasonic's real-time LUTs is that you can create your own like preset or LUTs, and you can insert that into your Panasonic camera and apply that LUT into your photos. And yeah, that's much more flexible in terms of exactly the look you're looking for in your photos. But again though, like with how Fuji created their film simulation and how they have like these special chromatic blues and just the overall grain that's in the camera, nothing compares. But I mean, the Panasonic comes close to it. So editing Nikon RAW files, it's pretty easy. Great highlight recovery. I have no complaints on the recovering shadows. Noise is great. Just the nature of the fact that it's a 24.6 megapixel sensor and it's a full frame. I have better performance in low light comparably to like a crop sensor camera. And you can see from the photos that I periodically showed you throughout the video that they're all taken with the Nikon ZF, either using the 26mm 2.8 or the 40mm f2, and they're both native lens. And I think straight out of like these lens, like it produces great contrast. The files are easy to grade. I have no issues with that whatsoever. And if you're okay with carrying a potato camera with you to your trips to like Asia, Europe, or even just travel photography or shoot photography on your own time, or taking photos of your like family or partner, I would definitely say that this camera is the way to go. If you have any questions about my experience using the Nikon ZF or anything related to that, or just my photography in general, please feel free to leave a comment in the video. And if you like my content, don't forget to hit the like button. And you want to be notified for more of my content in the future, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks guys, cheers.